Hello, and welcome to Creative Cousins Podcast. If you are new, we are two cousins and we make art. Today, our main topic is learning how to sell yourself and your art. We'll also talk about our recent creations, make some hot takes, and give some art tips. And we'll also end it with a childhood memory. Hey, Allie, how's it going?
It's going great. That was a beautiful intro, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Um, yeah, so it's been so busy. It's been such a busy summer. But
Well,
things are going really well. Um, had some really fun sessions lately. What have you been up to?
I've been, I'm working, but then I'm also trying to finish this one painting, and it's taking like a long time. So there's that. Um, I did start to make my prints and my like, 8x10 drawings into like a little mini portfolio. So I'm just gonna quickly show you guys that, just to go through them because I started just putting them in these like little not
Oh, that's
containers,
nice.
like a
Yeah.
book sort of. It's like a little mini portfolio. I have like a really big portfolio. It's like back there, but it's not like there's no sleeves. It's just like a container for big drawings. This one has like the clear plastic sleeves.
That's really nice.
So then I
Very
just have like
professional.
all the drawings here. It's
Oh,
like the marker drawings.
they
So
look so good with the black.
thank you. Um, some of them are like better liked than others, but they're good for the most part. But yeah, that way it's like in the sleeve, and that way they don't get like dirty because I'm horrible at keeping things like organized.
Ooh.
And then I just have my little turtle guy. I don't think I've ever
It's
shown
really
that.
awesome to see these all compiled together in like a physical sense.
I know that's why I liked it because I have so many of like the theme of the marker drawings, and it's like nice to see the marker
Now it's
drawings.
a series. Yeah.
Yeah, like actually together, plus the one turtle drawing I have in there. But basically, all my 8x10s will go in here. So
Yeah.
there's
For our
that.
audio listeners,
Oh,
she
yeah, I'm sorry.
has like a black folder that has all of the prints of her recent marker drawings in like plastic sleeves.
Yeah.
So it's like an actual physical, document.
Yeah, so they are mostly the originals of the prints that are 8x10. So, or the drawings that are 8x10. I do have like the prints, but they're in a separate container. I should probably just put that in a separate folder. Those ones are my originals though, because I did them with an 8x10 before
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, well that makes sense. I feel like you should get to keep the originals and then the other ones should be for sale. So that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, I sell the prints for sale. The originals are for sale too, but they're obviously more expensive than the prints.
Yeah.
But until then, until I sell the originals, they will be in that little portfolio folder. I do want to make like another one or buy another one, but the 9x12, because I do have a couple of 9x12s, but not as many. So, anyway.
Actually, yeah, speaking of prints, your brother just told me he's almost done with his order for his prints, so I'll be making his prints soon.
Yay! That's awesome.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. Um, but recently I did do a photo shoot, like just a creative for fun one. I just had a Pinterest board saved that I really wanted to make come to life. It was kind of like a mix of like a fantasy and a fashion photo shoot, which I actually wasn't intending. It happened that way on accident,
Cool.
but I wasn't mad about it.
Yeah.
It seems it actually came out like better than I thought it would. Um, I went to the beach with a couple of my friends and they modeled for me as sirens.
Cool.
So we had a lot of like pearls and like, like sticker pearls and lots of different accessories that we brought, different kinds of fabric to play with. And we ended up kind of, it was a little dangerous, to be
Oh
honest. It
boy.
was a little bit sketchy
Just
at
a
points because
tiny bit.
we went when we got there. It was low tide, and then it was like the peak of low tide, and then the tide started to come in. And they had this idea to go like stand on the rock, like in like the water. And
Oh,
as we were standing there, the rocks are like very sharp too, by the way. We got some cuts from this.
yeah. Do
But as
not
we're
try
standing
this
there,
at
the tide's
home.
coming in. So yes, do not try this at home. This was this this exercise was conducted by trained professionals. Um, just
Mm-hmm.
kidding. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I am very used to getting myself into precarious positions with my camera. Um, Unfortunately, my film camera did not make it out alive from this.
So
And it
sad.
was because the waves got really strong all of a sudden and kind of like knocked me. Um, but my digital camera was luckily fine. But yeah, this is the result.
Okay, so I really like this photo shoot, this whole photo shoot. I really like it, but this is a really cool photo. They definitely look like, like fantastical creatures, like it it really feels like that, and it is like editorial to me because it's like looks like they're showing off some kind of like sarong that's for sale or something.
Right, right. Like it looks like it could almost be on like a website for like a clothing brand.
Yeah, that's like what I kind of feel like it reminds me of a lot. And like there's like a lot of
Which is
those
like,
yeah, they have like those websites where a lot of clothing websites have like models on rocks. I feel like by the beach, modeling
yeah,
bathing
yeah.
suits. So I feel like it fits right in.
It's kind of funny how it kind of is both. Um, and somehow it works. Like I wouldn't have ever put those two
Mhm.
concepts together, but it sort of just happened because we didn't like do a whole ton of planning. I mean, we did. We had a group chat. Like I ordered things online and whatever, but
Right.
it's not like I had them like try on these outfits beforehand.
Yeah.
Like we were kind of just winging it. So we had like a bunch of shit in like a big basket and we were just digging through it and trying different things on. So it was a lot of fun. And I think it's definitely something I want to do maybe yearly from now on.
Yeah.
Like not this particular concept, but just like giving myself the freedom to like spend money on a project that is just like,
For fun.
oh, okay, this is just for fun.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I was feeling really burnt out before doing this, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it definitely helped because when you get burnt out, you like start to like doubt yourself and think
Yeah.
like
It's natural.
I'm not good anymore or something. So then, you know, during the whole photo shoot, I was like, I'm not sure how these are coming out. Like I was honestly very unsure of myself because I've been very uh just feeling, that burnout lately, but then I went home and I was like, "Oh, shoot, okay, this actually worked."
Yeah.
So it definitely, gave me that confidence again. So
That's
I definitely think
awesome.
I'm gonna do that like once a year going forward. But
Their hair is selling it too. Like they're like very mermaid type
I
of
feel like they both
vibe.
had the right like look for this, and
Yeah.
then adding like the pearls into her hair was like such a good call.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
and
cool.
I actually bought that like huge conch shell for the shoot.
That's awesome.
It was so fun.
Can
It
you
was worth all the cuts.
yeah, I hope so because that sounds painful. Hopefully you still don't have any cuts on your feet anymore.
They're finally healed now, but yeah, there was my feet were pretty ripped up from like trying to stand on those rocks.
Yeah, sounds dangerous. But I, the photos look good, so there at least you have that. But I really also like the one where you have like the different angle, like this one with
The top down.
the girl with the red hair, like the angle is like a lot different than what I feel like you normally have done. So I think it looks really cool. Adds to that
Thanks.
fantasticalness,
Like that
fantasy.
one, I feel like yeah, that one came out more like a fantasy type photo. But it was really cool to like see them both contribute to this.
Yeah,
And I love like, you know, getting everyone's ideas and like just like creating something cool with it. So it
that's
was nice
awesome.
that they were both also like so invested because definitely came out better for it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I I think that you should still put it on your Instagram, Allie, even if it's not like your other
I
stuff.
know.
I'm
It is so different
sorry,
from my other
but
stuff that I feel like it's not going to fit with my feed and it's going to like really look different, but I am gonna do it. I'm just like waiting for the right time.
yeah,
Like I might post another picture first, like a picture of like flowers or like something bright
just to
so that it
prep
kind of
some
like
people for the
to
shock.
like
Um,
yeah, it's like match it a little better. I'm not quite sure because like yeah, it's just hard to it's getting hard to like make all my different like things that I do like look cohesive,
I get you.
but I'll figure it out. And that is part of selling yourself too, is trying to like make your Instagram look like a cold portfolio. Um,
Yeah,
so that's moving into our main topic, but
yeah,
yeah, so we're gonna talk today about learning how to sell yourself and your art because I think this is a thing that a lot of photographers struggle with, and I still struggle with this, and I'm still learning, and I'm by no means an expert, but it's really difficult to see your value sometimes and to be able to communicate that to potential clients. So we're here to tell you that you are worth it and to explain the things that you may not even realize that you do that not everyone does and that it should be worth something.
yeah. It's honestly like hard because I don't really enjoy talking about myself, even when it was like in school and they're like, let's all come around and give a sentence about ourselves in the first day of school. I'm like, no, please don't. Please don't actually ask anything about me. No one, I don't want to share anything, please. And so I've always been bad at that. Creating profile bios, always been bad about that. It's
Oh, yes. Yeah.
really,
There's a lot of overthinking and a
yeah,
lot of self-doubt and a lot of, I'd rather just see what other people do.
yeah.
Um,
It's really tough. So I'm not a big
yeah.
fan of it. But you really do have to like speak the obvious way more than you think you would. So, like, for example, right, I do digital painting, as you well know, and it's still kind of a new thing to people. Still a new thing. It doesn't help that AI just generates images, and people think that digital painting is just super easy. You just click a couple buttons and on your Photoshop
Yeah,
machine,
they think
and you
it's like
think,
AI generated,
yeah, or like you put a filter on something and
which
you,
I'm sure there are people out there
yeah, I'm
that are
sure.
AI
Oh,
generating
don't
things
get
and
me
passing them
started.
off as digital paintings. But
There are people, for example, on Etsy who are like, I will make you a watercolor portrait of your picture. I'll make your picture into a watercolor. But they literally just slap a filter on it and they charge you like $50, which is a red flag. If you're paying, by the way, sorry, here's the tip. If you're paying on Etsy or any kind of service for a watercolor portrait, any kind of portrait where you're gonna make it, it's like it looks like drawn or painted or whatever, and they use your picture. If it's under a certain amount of money, like if it's under like $50, maybe even under $100, they're probably just going to put a filter on it and then send it to you. I see all the
yeah,
time
which is
these,
something you can just do yourself easily.
yeah, exactly. I see all the time. Oh, I spent $20, like literally $20
That
for
should be like a
like
scam. That should be like not allowed. I don't know
they
how that's like,
they can do that, but they're not being like you. If you want that, fine. But you have to be upfront about it and say, I used whatever to do this, right? So basically it's a lot different than what I do is I actually like draw it out on Adobe Fresco with like brushes that look like watercolor or like look like painting. But I'm not saying, oh, I'm using watercolor to paint this by like, you know, on my desk, like, actual watercolor brushes, watercolor paints. I'm still saying I'm digitally painting it, but it's not a filter though. I'm still using my stylus to like paint the
yeah,
thing.
like you're still doing it by hand.
Yeah, it's just I'm using, yeah, exactly. Still using my hand, but I'm not just like, it's going to be like 10 to 20 hours. So I'm not going to
Yeah.
charge only $20 for it. So it just sets a
Right.
bad precedence. Anyway, so it just you have to
Maybe like
educate people. It's just what it is.
definitely educate them. And I think you have to put it like wherever you list your packages or your services, like digital paintings done by hand,
Yeah.
because otherwise people are not going to understand what a digital painting is.
Yeah.
Um,
It can be
it's the same
frustrating.
thing. A lot of family probably don't understand it. Like, different generations probably never heard
Yeah.
of it. And yeah. Even like with photography though, like a lot of people don't understand what it means when you say that you edit your images. Like you have to tell them like images are hand edited. Like, they're adjusted. They may be presets, but they're adjusted individually. Because people don't understand.
By a human.
Like they just think a lot of people just think, "Oh, like I've gotten compliments from people before like, "Oh, I love like your filters on your photos." And I'm like, "Yeah, like I feel like maybe maybe you know what you're saying, but maybe you don't. I don't know. Like maybe you understand that they're not just like they are filters, but then you're usually making more adjustments to them." I feel like some people think that it's just like you just slap the filter on and move on.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
which I'm sure there are people that might do that, but no, I don't do that. So you have to say to your client to clarify that you're not one of those people. These
Exactly.
images are hand edited, and I adjust them based on like the lighting, like how the image is shot. Like they will be like individually like looked at. So
Yeah.
it's not icky when you tell people this. You're telling them because artists have had to do this for centuries. They haven't been able to just put something out there and make people like see the value of it. Like you have to explain it and explain like what this is. You gotta kind of assess too before you explain it though, because you don't want to come off like you're telling them because they know nothing. So you kind of
Yeah,
have
it's
to be like,
hard.
yeah, like you kind of have to be like, oh, what do you know? What do you know about XYZ? Or what do you know about wedding photography? Or what is it that you expect from your photographer? So that you can kind of get an idea of like what they know. Because clients don't even know what they don't know. And this goes for prints as well, which I'm sure we'll talk about more later. But a lot of people don't know about the differences between like ordering prints from a CVS or Walgreens and ordering prints from like a high quality like
So
print
true.
house or any other like online print house that can like better handle like professional grade colors and high resolution images.
It's so
Um,
true. And it's hard because you don't want to sound like you're like being condescending by like giving all this information and then coming off like you're a know-it-all that knows everything and that they're an idiot.
right.
But
Yeah.
sometimes you have to explain things, otherwise like people just like we're obviously in it, right? We're this is our thing.
So we know.
So
Yeah.
we
But it's
know,
not
but
something I knew before I
yeah, like
started
people
doing
don't
this.
know usually unless they actually are interested in it. So it's kind of a fine line you have to walk without explaining it, but without coming off like you're being an asshole about it. But yeah, it's definitely hard. Like for my digital paintings, I still have not really done this where I want to make like a separate video of like this is what this is what my process is, like showing a video of like how I do the painting and stuff like that. Because it's a lot of work just to make a video. I have to like record all the footage and then like plan it out. So I still haven't really done that. But that way, if people are confused about what it is, sending them the video and being like, this is what the process looks like from A to Z. I
Yeah,
think
that's
that would
absolutely
help.
true. And that's definitely the direction our culture is moving in because you see a lot more of those types of videos, even for photography. Like the behind the scenes videos are essentially the same thing. It's just showing people what your process is.
Yeah. And even like for me, like sometimes it's hard where I'm like, I'm doing my painting and it's a lot of work and I spend like many hours on them that like it's very like hard when people don't get it and they just like will be like, oh well, this is not an actual painting, or like, ugh, you didn't really do anything. It's you really have to like be confident in yourself because sometimes you question your life.
Yeah, you gotta, it's hard because you have to speak up but not be an asshole.
Yeah.
You have to speak up and be like, oh, actually, that's not what it is, but like say it in a nice way. And sometimes it's hard because they're totally convinced that it is that. Um,
Yeah, and like don't take it too personally when like especially someone who's not very like familiar with just internet technology in general. Um, like and we think
right, when they don't understand it. Yeah.
yeah, and we think that oh well, it's been around for years. Like it's
Right.
not that new, but for some people,
I I like never think you should take it personally because I think it does just generally come from a lack of knowing. But then there's times where I feel like sometimes it's like, oh, like I wouldn't come to your job and tell you that what you do is a moot point, essentially.
yeah,
Um, I
yeah.
don't know. So there's that fine line of like the respect thing of like, I'm not gonna tell you that it's not worth something or that,
Yeah, exactly.
um,
But at the same time, like, I think that with that information, people will get it. So, even if they are of an older generation, they'll get it. My parents get it now. My dad thinks that my digital paintings are cool and stuff. So it's just like, it just takes that
time.
time and being really patient. But sometimes people don't always, you might get clients that don't always show that they want to understand or like that they have any
And they just
idea.
want, yeah.
You never
There are
know.
definitely some clients who don't value the time spent on a digital painting, and they probably would just want to pay a
Yeah.
cheap price to get the same thing done with AI,
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
not realizing that it isn't the same thing because it's to them it is the same thing. It's
Yeah.
to some and then to other people it's very, very different.
Oh, yeah. Because they'll be like, oh, but it only cost me $20 to get this one filter on it or to get someone to make a copy of it with AI. Why would I pay $300 for this? Same thing.
Right. It's about like finding the ideal client who understands like that they want the artist perspective, that they
Yeah.
want someone human doing it for them. So I
It's
think
tough.
that can be hard, but I think what we were saying about being direct and describing exactly what it is that is included with your packages, your services, with whatever it is that you do, you have to make it clear what you offer. You need to, like, if you're not even sure what to write, like when you're making up your list of services or list of things, you gotta like write it out. I think that's very helpful if you make a list of everything that it is that you do. And don't hold back because you can always take things off that list. But even if you think it's something obvious, like, oh, I think this is something that every wedding photographer does, so why would I put it in my package listing? It's probably actually not done by everybody. That's why.
It's a really good
Because you'd be
point.
shocked. You'd be shocked because you might think it's pointless to put in your description that you provide a high resolution digital gallery. Well, there are some photographers out there who are not doing that. So make yourself stand out by saying exactly what it is that you offer. If you
So
offer a
true.
custom designed wedding album, describe it as such. Don't just say it's a wedding album. Say it's custom designed. I basically take your inspiration pictures and I will make it look the way you want it to look. Find out what it is that makes you different by asking your previous clients, like, what was it that you enjoyed about working with me? Or what was it that stood out about me as a photographer? And if they say something like, you gave us so much guidance and you made us feel really comfortable in front of the camera, then you can write, I provide elevated posing assistance to help you feel comfortable, or elevated prompting, or I provide creative direction throughout your session to help you feel at ease. Like you want to write that in the package listing that that's what you do because again, there are some photographers out there who they might just stand there and tell you to stand and smile at the camera. So you need to figure out what it is that you do that's specific to you, even if you think other people do it, that you can write.
That's even a good tip for any kind of artist. It's just like just write down everything that you do. Because I would not have thought about that because I should probably do that. That's really
I
good.
actually probably should do it again because I haven't done it in a very long time. And there's
Oh,
things I've added that I didn't used to do. Like the wedding albums thing is new for me. I've added like helping. I assist people to buy prints. I don't just like buy the prints for them. Like I assist them in buying
yeah.
prints and like which ones to get and stuff.
The Prince thing is
Yeah,
so helpful when you are printing and you don't know much about printing. You might just go to any other place and just get it printed, but it's not the same. So that's a really good point. Like helping you guiding somebody to get the prints like made and actually doing it and like taking care of all of that with like even like
right. And
shipping it
getting
to
it shipped
them.
like directly to them so they don't have to think about that.
Convenience
Um,
is very
yeah, it's all
valuable.
about like the service. So any way that you can like find to solve your client's problems um, is gonna make you stand out. There is like an aspect of like getting over being afraid to sell to people. And I think maybe what helped me is not thinking about it as selling, but thinking about it as servicing. So I want to service them the best of my ability so that they have like a comprehensive experience and so that I don't have to waste dozens and dozens of hours finding four more clients because that takes away from the rest of my business. That time takes away from the rest of my business in my life and makes it harder for me to run my business.
Yeah.
It's way easier for me to focus on providing that one lead who already paid me for the session with everything that they could possibly want. And
Yeah.
they don't have to take it if they don't want it, but it's there. So if you offer it to them and you explain like, "Oh, hey, these are some things I can also do for you." It's going to be received way better than, saying like, "Oh, like you should buy this or you should buy this wedding album or whatever."
Yeah.
Like you can just say, "Oh, this is something that I offer just so you know, like XYZ." Um
Yeah.
cuz and then you sometimes might explain a little bit about why you offer it. Like telling the client like, "I really like it when my clients don't have to worry about getting their own prints and the images come out better quality." That can like really help them see that you're just trying to help them. And
Yeah.
I think that's really all we want at the end of the day is to be able to run our businesses, have more time at home with family, and to be um, able to focus more of your efforts on helping your clients rather than trying to find all different leads that may not even pan out. So when you
Right.
have a good client, like really giving them the best experience rather than trying to get a million clients that who may not
Get
care
it.
about the extra.
Yeah.
Um,
The thing is, like with those prints, especially, they might not know that there are other options. So it's like you telling them is actually helping them out. So if you kind of think of it in a way like you're not being annoying, like it's so hard not to think like I'm just being so annoying.
I used to
Like,
think that so much. I really did, but I think when I started getting like more people like through the door kind of like more people like wanting services and stuff and then I would wait for like the right time, but then I would be like, "Oh, just so you know, like this is like, like usually it's after you deliver their photos and they say like, "Oh, these are beautiful."
yeah.
You can say, "Oh, like you kind of ought to know when to do it. You can't like just
Yeah,
come on full force
you
and like
can't come off like
be
you're
like,
selling
"Oh,
like
like buy this session and buy the prints and buy that." Like you can't really get people a lot of times to like I mean, there are some clients who really know what they want and they are like, "I'm looking for a photographer who can
give me
give
all
me the
these
session
things.
and give me the album and give me these and blah blah, blah. And like but that's pretty rare. Like you're gonna
Yeah,
more
that's
often
true.
get people that are like, "Oh, like I've never had an experience with a photographer before. This is my first time." So they don't even know, like they don't even know what to look for or what to ask for. So you're not doing them a disservice by not telling them. You're gonna help them out by letting them know like these are things that you can expect from someone who is a professional photographer.
Yeah, because if you think about it, people aren't really like doing these things that often. Like, no one's getting a custom drawing that often or going get like their own photos done that often. It's pretty rare. So like the amount that like they know about it is probably pretty little if they're only doing it once in a blue moon that they actually get to do that. So
Yeah, it's going to really help you a lot keep your doors open as a business owner if you can make these kind of sales. Um, and that helps everybody who ever wants to get a session with you, because if you go out of business, then you're not going to be able to do anything for those
I
people who
guess
might have
that's
wanted to
true.
work with you. Like there might be people waiting to work with you and maybe they're saving up, and if you go out of business, then they'll be like, "Oh," you know,
Oh,
like
darn.
you have to not think about it as selfish. You have to think about it
Yeah,
as like sustainable. So it's kind of hard to change your mindset. And I'm still working on it, but it's definitely going a lot better in
same.
recent months. And then it's so rewarding when like I had a client who got their album and they were like, "This came out like so good and like
Oh,
we
it's
love it and we're gonna
awesome.
keep it on our coffee table." And I was like, "Yay!" Like it was just so like
That's so
and it's
cool.
so weird to think about that. Like my pictures are gonna be there forever now. Like
It's
it's
so
weird and
cool.
cool. Like not weird in a bad way. It's just like, wow, like their grandkids might eventually inherit this.
I know, it's so
Like I
awesome.
know um it's obviously the same with like any like family portraits that you paint for people, because those are gonna be probably handed down, and it's just something special.
I know. I mean, you hope so at least, unless somebody loses them. But you hope for the best. You hope for the best.
I feel like we actually ended up going a little bit into a different topic. So we will elaborate more on the importance of tangible art in a future episode.
Stay tuned.
But yeah, stay tuned for that. But I think, I mean, aside from, 'cause there's a couple of bullet points here we want to hit on before we move on to the next topic. Um, One is when learning how to sell yourself, there's going to be a lot that it feels overwhelming because there are so many things that you could be doing to sell yourself and your art and to advertise your art. And I feel like back in the day, there was less options for advertising your art. You just had to go out and talk to people and go to gallery
You
shows
could
and do
put
stuff
an
like that.
ad in the newspaper.
Yeah, like there was less platforms to sell your art on or to show your art to people.
That's
And it
true.
was really more about word of mouth. Whereas now everything is so, the internet has made social media like such a big component of it,
It's really,
as well as like SEO. And I'm probably not going to touch on SEO really because I don't know much about it yet. I don't know if you know maybe more than I do, Beth, but I don't think I'm even going to touch
I
on that because I'm still in the very baby stages of learning about SEO.
I will briefly touch on SEO. SEO is search engine optimization, and that is when you make your titles, tags, descriptions full of keywords in order and like relevant data to get your stuff seen on search engines like Google, right? So if you don't have good SEO, you might not get it showing up as many places. I'm still like really learning how to do this. It's very frustrating. Every website that you go on may have a different algorithm. So, for example, if you're selling things on Etsy, they have a different algorithm. So, you kind of have to do a lot of research. That'll be my tip of the day. Is that you need to make sure that you are researching every website or every kind of place that you're going to sell your art on and see what tips you can find. Um, like on Reddit, people have tips and stuff like that, like a lot of them. So much so that it's very overwhelming because some people say one
Yeah.
thing and other people say the other thing. So it's
And I'm
constantly
sure they
changing it
also
up.
change it
You have to,
over time
yes, it
too.
changes too. So you have to like be changing all the time, which is why I'm in a spot right now, very frustrated with my Etsy that I'm gonna make my own website. But girl, that is a long time. That will be,
Yes, I've
it's a work in
heard a
progress.
lot about this.
Because I just don't
I've
want to
heard a lot
deal with
about
it.
this.
I don't want to deal with Etsy anymore, but I am still using Etsy, obviously, right? It's gonna just be a work in progress, but my biggest thing is just do a lot of research when it comes to SEO. Fill out as much information about your listing or whatever as possible in order to get it seen by more people. But it's very hard to do, to get used to. So that's all I'll say.
It's, I don't really know because I feel like you could probably work full-time hours just trying to learn how to do that on every platform.
Yeah.
And obviously, none of us have that kind of time. So I wonder if it's almost better to like figure out which platform is better for you, like based on what it is that you do. But it's so hard to know which one is the right one and then just like focus on like concentrate your efforts on like one or two of them. But then you hear the opposite
I
thing
know.
where a lot of people
Oh, don't get
say,
me started.
no, you have to be omnipresent, this
Be
omnipresence thing.
everywhere.
You have to be everywhere to be considered like legit, essentially. Like
People
you have to
really
have
underestimate.
Instagram,
Yeah.
Facebook, you have to have a blog, you have to have Pinterest, you have to have a YouTube. So this omnipresence thing is probably what is taking up most of my time right now as a business owner.
It's
Like
rough.
aside from like I feel like number 1 is like communication with potential leads. And then number 2 is omnipresence in social media, and then number 3 is actually taking photos.
I know.
And then
And
number
isn't that
4 is
sad?
editing. Um, and I've seen like so many breakdowns, like pie charts of like what people think photographers do, and then like what we actually do, which is like
So much
so much
work.
other stuff.
It's like
Um,
I wish I could spend more time, which is why my painting that I've been working on forever is taking so long because I have to do so much other stuff. The boring stuff. The boring stuff. I'm sorry. It's boring. It's boring to plan
yep.
everything. I don't like to plan.
And this is why we have to charge more than we think we need to. What I need to do is run my what's called your CODB, cost of doing business, because you have to be charging that as the bare minimum. Then you have to add on what you actually need to be paying yourself.
Yeah. I
Um,
don't know
yeah,
when I could do
it's
that.
yeah, it's same. Um, and then to get people to actually buy that number is a whole other thing.
Yeah, it costs way more than people think. Like time and just the effort and like
And
we're
this is
not
why
experts
a
in
lot
this
of
yet either.
people a lot of people like pay to outsource these things. Like they pay a social media manager or they pay whatever, but I can't afford to do that right now.
Me
So
either.
I don't know exactly what steps I have to take next, but I am hiring a business coach so that I can get this a little bit more manageable. And
Yeah.
in case you're wondering, I'm going to do membership, the Book It membership with Claire Hunt on Instagram, Claire Hunt Education.
Whoa.
But she actually used to be a nurse, and I am a nurse, and I'm trying to be a full-time photographer, and she was able to transition to full-time photography. So I'm hoping that that will be, I mean, it seems like it's going to be a really good fit. So,
That's cool. Yeah, I hope that really works out. It's gonna be this whole thing is like very much like a work in progress. And so I don't want it to come off like we are experts in this. Like probably not the strongest suit is the advertising and the business like the social media side of things is definitely one of like the hardest things to time
yeah,
it's just most time consuming. It's like the most time consuming, I feel like,
I
for
definitely
me.
think, I think like it's important to talk about it. Like, even though we don't know everything, I think this is just us kind of like, venting about this because I know that there are people out there that can relate to this.
Yeah, probably. It's just something to keep on working on, and hopefully I'll have more time to actually make art. Stay tuned on that. If I can finish my painting, but
Yes, we'll
yeah,
get there. So today's hot take though,
can't wait.
I this has been kind of talked about on Threads, but it's something that I saw and was like, oh yeah, I already this is already my take. Like I didn't have to be convinced. And that is that if you have a client that you're talking back and forth with, and they've agreed that they want to book you for a photo shoot or for a service or whatever it is that you provide, and you take the time to draw up the contract and you send it out to them, and then it just sits there. And like you don't hear back from them like within a day, they don't sign it, and you've already let them know, like, hey, just so you know, I sent this along to your email. Take a look and sign it, and then I'll be able to hold your date in my calendar. So if you've already done that and then they don't sign it, you should cancel the whole thing. And here's why. Because they are either not ready to move forward in this process and they're not ready for some personal reason, or they aren't really aligned with you and they're not a good fit. Because people who are ready to book and they're a good fit and they are excited to work with you, they don't wait to put and then potentially lose their spot with you. If they are really wanting to work with you, they are not going to want to lose that opportunity.
Yeah.
So they're going to sign their contract and they're going to do it within a day. They're not going to make you wait a week, make you reach out multiple times. They're not going to come up with different reasons why they haven't done it. So that would be my hot take, is just move on and spend your efforts elsewhere if someone seems like they're not fully into it. It's kind of like a relationship in a sense, because you will be working with that person if they're a potential wedding client, you will be working with them for up to a year.
Yeah.
So you definitely have to think carefully about what you're getting yourself into. And if they don't seem that excited about working with you, it's like being in the dating stage with someone and then they don't seem that excited to make things serious.
Yeah.
Why would you try to make them like you? Just move on.
Right. That's a good point. Why would you, yeah, exactly. Why would you want to work with somebody who's like half-hearted about it? And I think you're probably telling them, right, that they have up until a certain amount of time to do it. Otherwise it's canceled, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So you're giving them that warning that like, okay, do it between this time. So yeah, I think that would be perfectly fair, because that way it opens up that time slot for somebody else who actually does want
in my
it.
contract, it actually says this deposit needs to be made within, this retainer needs to be paid within a certain amount of time for this to be valid. So I've had people wait. I had one client who never signed it. Never signed it. I never heard back from her. And then she signed the contract the day before we were originally talking about having a photo shoot.
Oh my God.
And like that time slot was gone. But she had apparently been planning on, that was a big learning experience for me. But she had apparently been planning on like still doing the session, but she didn't communicate that to me, and she signed it the day before and then was mad when I said I wouldn't be there.
Why do people think like what? Like, I don't understand that. Like, don't people think that you have like a life and like other clients that like you kind of need to be prepared for?
Apparently not everyone knows that. So that's what I learned from that, is that you have to be very straightforward when doing this and sending the contract. Tell them that they have until this time to sign it and reserve their spot, or they lose the spot. That's what I learned from that experience, because I apparently was not very clear with her. I feel like there's been a lot of like lessons that I've learned along the way that like, it's been hard, but just sharing some tips here.
I mean, that really ties into like what we were talking about before, about literally like tell people, even when you think that it's obvious, then no, it's not obvious to everybody. So that's
correct.
Even more reinforcement for that. I can't believe that they would do that. That is crazy.
Yeah, and I did feel really bad, because then she said she had already bought her dress and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, if you didn't pay the retainer, but you didn't sign your contract,
though. I don't get that.
So that was tough. Yeah, so that's today's hot take. Our last section here is just our last couple of sections, our knowledge share, tip share, and then our nostalgia and childhood memories. I was just going to share my settings for this picture that I got of my friends on the beach during this siren photo shoot. So we have aperture of 8, 1/250 for shutter speed, and ISO 100. And then I added in some direct flash I've been kind of obsessed with doing that lately. Um, it's very trendy right now, so I'm really obsessed with it. Um, and I like how it looks. So, and for this next shot, the one of Emily from top down, I used pantyhose for this. I
Oh,
put the pantyhose over my lens, and the sun was like just peeking through at the right time, so the light was like really pretty. And in post, you add some whites, you add some blacks, or you bring the blacks down, like you bring the blacks to the left and whites to the right. And then you add some contrast, and you play with clarity and dehaze. It's gonna look different depending on the lighting, like how the image was shot. So you have to kind of like play around with it every time you use the pantyhose and you edit it in post. But you can get it to look dreamy without, like, if you take it like a little too far, it looks kind of weird. Like if
mm,
you edit it a little too much in post, it looks kind of like too contrasted and really weird. So you kind of have to
oh,
play around with it and see like how it looks. That's my tip.
that's awesome.
And Beth, you already shared your tip of the day.
Yeah, basically
Um,
did. Yeah.
so we're good on that section. So yeah, childhood memories.
When we were growing up, do you remember when our grandma used to cook? Like, she cooked a lot, right? She cooked constantly. I feel like she was constantly cooking. Do you remember when she
Every
would?
time, I was just gonna say, like every time I went over, I feel like there was the smell of recently cooked food.
Yeah, it was constant, which and it was always good. But do you remember when she would like make like a ton of like octopus? Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yes. How could I forget? It was obviously not something my mom did or my dad did
My
because,
mom
you know,
never
we
did.
mostly, yeah.
That I remember at least.
So yeah, like she must have gone to the market to get like fresh octopus or something. I don't know where she even got it, but I remember being a kid and like being in the kitchen and there's like a big pot of boiling water on the stove and like octopus legs were just hanging over the side of the pot because she was boiling the octopus. And I remember
Yeah.
like thinking as a kid, like I've never seen that before. Like this is so weird. I've never seen anybody cook octopus.
And like I
Um,
can't remember. So were they boiling it alive basically? I don't remember like how they cook it.
so I actually don't know. I have no idea,
I
but
hope
I do
not.
remember my mom like shoving the octopus tentacles in my face and being like, "Try this. It's good. It's good." And I was like, "Ugh, like no. It looks gross." Um,
I love like
and
squid. I
then
love calamari, but like I feel like octopus is like a little bit more, oh, just a tiny bit
so
more
I feel like it's
uncommon.
one of those things that it's harder to mess up when cooking it.
Yeah.
And the best octopus I ever had, Auntie Amelia made.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah, I was at her house. I don't remember why I was at her house, but Tina and Janet were there, and she had made octopus, and it was like so tender, like not overcooked. It was like perfect, like
Mm,
very well seasoned. I feel like it's a very fine line between like undercook like overcooking octopus, like because I've
yeah.
had it where it is overcooked and it's very rubbery and gross.
Yeah, that's
And like
true.
even like some fancy restaurants will like serve you octopus and it's like overdone and doesn't taste good and it's over seasoned. But
Yeah.
Auntie Amelia's octopus was really good. And I'm sure grandma's was too, but I don't think I ever tried it.
Yeah, I never did
Um,
either.
which is probably like a big regret. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
wish I tried it.
That's a good point. Yeah, because yeah, well,
And then do you
well.
remember how we weren't allowed in the basement when they were cooking?
Yeah, because a lot of times they would like cook in the basement, but also Grandpa had all of his like wine in the basement, and they were like, "Don't go in the basement." And then we'd be like, "Why? What's in the basement?" And no one ever said why. They're
Yeah, no
like,
one ever said why, and I
just
don't think
don't
I
go in
ever
there."
got to go down there. I don't think I ever went there
I
and
can't
down
remember if
there.
I ever have either. I honestly don't remember because I,
I don't think we ever even knew what it looked like. Like we that's like how strict they were about us going in the basement.
yeah,
Um
we were like terrified of the basement though. It just ended up us being like scared of going in there. So it was great.
yes.
Good, thanks, guys.
But our
Um,
grandfather would make wine, so that's where he made his wine and like he grew grapes in their yard in the middle of Hartford.
yeah, yeah. Well, actually, well, on my dad's side, my grandpa also made wine. So both of my grandparents made wine,
Oh, that's cool.
also in
I didn't
Hartford.
know that.
So that's how it, that's how it goes. They just grow their own grapes and they make wine. It's the most Portuguese thing you could ever imagine.
It's so true.
But yeah, so yeah, I wish I'd gone in that basement. But anyway, oh, what a good episode, Allie. I'm gonna pat myself on the back.
It was a good episode. I feel like we shared a lot of good stuff. So thanks guys for watching, and next topic we have is going to be about the importance of tangible art. So we're going to elaborate a little bit more on a couple of things we talked about this time, but it's been really fun, and we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye!